on the left, rocking the Charizard EX, facing off against Michael Pramawat, like we mentioned, World Championship top 4 finisher. Changed it up this weekend, not playing the Charizard, playing the Lost Zone box.
Indeed. Now, this matchup can be problematic for Lost Box just because Charizard EX has so much HP, right?
Yeah.
We'll have to find out what attackers Michael is running in his deck in order to see how he can deal with that humongous HP. And one Charizard tends to be manageable. More than one, though, it can get pretty tough.
Ooh, and right away for Michael, a couple Colress experiments in the prize cards. You really don't love to see that, and even on boss's orders as well. That's got to be over 50% of the supporters he's probably playing.
Yeah, prizing Colress, we've seen that plenty of times. Prizing 1 can be rough. Prizing 2, that's gonna be pretty difficult. We might see Michael have to go through the very beginning of the game without any Colress, and that really slows down the potential threats that you can have. No Mirage Gate, active on turn 2, maybe on turn 3, maybe on turn 4, and then Sableye definitely gets heavily delayed unless you go big on the Comfey. So that could be certainly something that actually affects the game. Yeah, we haven't even started, and we could already be seeing something that affects the outcome of this game here.
Here we are, game underway. Joel draws for turn and kicks things off just about the best way you could in a game of the Pokemon TCG Battle VIP Pass. Of course, a card you can only play on your first turn, but an extremely powerful effect allowing you to search your deck for up to 2 basic Pokemon and putting them directly into play. And it looks like that Forest Sealstone is actually in the hand already, so we could even see a Pokemon V hit the bench right away.
Yeah, that would allow a double Battle VIP Pass turn, which is always a good thing. It could also set you up very nicely for the next turn to make sure that you're getting that Rare Candy Pidgeot EX or Rare Candy Charizard EX. And I cannot praise Pidgeot EX enough. I used it earlier today. Yeah, that quick search ability, it's so fantastic.
Did I just see a Vengeful Punch in Joel's list as he was scrolling through? What do you think's going on there?
Yeah, so even though you have a dark type attacker with a lot of HP, the Gardevoir matchup can be a little shaky. Like Gardevoir with 2 reversal energy can easily get to the damage numbers in order to go, ooh, that's spicy.
Yeah, that Delphox V, and honestly, a card that could be huge in this matchup as well, right?
Yeah, for sure. Applying pressure to the bench is not something that Charizard EX usually does. And in an ideal world, you would want to bench this Delphox as a surprise sort of thing, but you do not want to sacrifice your setup just to have that surprise, right? So I like this from Joel. It's like, I'll reveal my Delphox V for now, but that's fine.
Yeah, really respecting Pramawat's deck, I think, with this play. Valuing getting down the mana fee right away because he recognizes Pramawat could pop off. We could see the turn 1 Radiant Greninja. We've seen it happen in the past, and if you don't have that mana fee down and your opponent is able to pull all those pieces together, it could just lose you the game instantly. Now, as we get over to Michael's turn, he matches Joel's VIP pass with one of his own. Also, of course, fetching 2 Pokemon from the deck. They'll be able to be put directly into play. There's, I think, a few Super Odd actually in Pramawat's hand. That is not a card you love to see in your opening. Really powerful in the late game, but just kind of clogs you up early on.
Indeed. Now, luckily enough, he does have one of the 2 Colress's experiment available, which means he will get off to a pretty strong start. Following that up could be a little problematic. Finding that other single Colress experiment left in the deck will be pretty difficult, but starting that one will definitely smooth out Michael Pramawat's early game right here. Now, Greninja and Comfey chosen. Joel definitely prepared for this possibility by preemptively benching the mana fee. But I will say, those 50 HP and 60 HP Charmanders are looking very juicy for Michael.
Yeah, I think ideally on Joel's side, you get some evolutions in play before it becomes much of a liability, but in other situations, they definitely can come up. Now we do see Michael playing Colress. Experiment, we'll be seeing the first few cards hitting the Lost Zone. Nest Ball and Mirage Gate, not super easy choices by any means. And normally, I think Pramawat saw a Manaphy there, would be fine to throw that away against a Charizard deck. But when your opponent puts down a Delphox right away, you really need to prioritize the Manaphy.
Indeed, Manaphy not a card that you would normally want to bench against Charizard, and that's why the surprise factor. I'm certain at a 501 record, if Joel has played against any previous Lost Box decks, he's probably been able to successfully pull that off, because it's nobody's first instinct to be like, oh, Charizard, I should bench Manaphy. But
Right.
after you see it, you immediately want to make sure you protect your bench.
Yeah, if Delphox had been a surprise factor, I mean, that could have been a huge swing for Joel in this matchup. Didn't work out like that, though. And it looks like Pramawat is likely going to be going for a Cramorant play this turn, as that has been fetched off of a Nest Ball. Radiant Greninja ditching a Water Energy card for 2 off the top, thanks to Concealed Cards, that ever-powerful ability. Now 2 more cards being seen from the Flower selecting. Looks like it was an Energy card and a Forest Sealstone. Forest Sealstone, ooh, being debated about. I think there is the Dragonite in the hand, but we'll choose to keep this Lightning Energy for now. Maybe needing it to pivot. Ooh, does Michael Pramawat not have the Switch Cart or Escape Rope just yet to pull off the guaranteed attack? Well, if he didn't, he at least gets it now.
There it is. But however, we do see him hesitate a little bit, and that's because Michael Pramawat is only running 8 total basic energy in his deck. So very bare bones in that regard. Nothing like the Kyogre deck. And yeah, he was holding that other Switch card. So conserving energy, pretty important if you actually want to be able to attack with the big attack of Dragonite V.
Pramawat takes the lead with a Spit innocently to KO that Pidgey. Now it's over to Joel. Has an Iono in hand and a Rare Candy, but no Stage 2 in order to utilize the Rare Candy. So just has to roll with the Iono, and we're hoping for a pretty strong set of 6 cards off this draw here, Pablo.
Yeah, especially with the Force Seal Stone having been already utilized. No Mew to maybe fetch either the Ultra Ball or the Rare Candy, the missing piece. So drawing Rare Candy and Ultra Ball raw off of this is pretty difficult, and we do see the whiff right here.
Yeah, and this is where things can be tough in this matchup for Charizard. If you can get a Pidgeot in play, get a Charizard in play on the second turn of the game, you're feeling pretty strong. Those Pokemon have a lot of HP, and Pidgeot gives you tons of support throughout the rest of the game. But in a spot like this, where you get 0 Stage 2 Pokemon in play on turn 2, it's definitely an uphill battle, as Joel now just playing the Ultra Ball does ditch that Vengeful Punch, it looks like, and that Lost Vacuum. Now any Pokemon can be grabbed from the deck and placed into hand. We could see the Charmeleon potentially, just to try to make it easier to get into a Charizard on the next turn. And I think that will be the choice, as Charmeleon is indeed the grab.
Yeah, Charmeleon makes it so that you require less things combined to be able to start attacking. And you know, against Lost Box, you're probably going to fall a little bit behind, but this is definitely a big turn for Joel, and he cannot afford to go down more than 2 prizes. If he does, that could be very problematic for him in order to close out the game and not fall down to that Manaphy that's already in play, that Pidgey. All of those could be stabilized targets, and then you don't even have to deal with a Charizard EX at any given point.
Pramawat does play Hisuian Heavy Ball, allowing him to look at the face-down prize cards, finding a basic Pokemon, and adding it directly into the hand. Sees those 2 Colress and says, yep, those could be nice. Maybe we'll get one on the next turn. We do see actually Spiritomb coming down into play, limiting some potential Lumineon plays, making it more difficult for your opponent on the next turn. Seems pretty decent, and that's all there is, just a Spit innocently thanks to the Lost Provisions, taking another prize. Pramawat up 4-6 in this position now on Joel's turn. Kicks things off immediately, promoting the Charmeleon. Ultra Ball to grab the Charizard EX, and using that ever-powerful Infernal Rain ability to grab 3 Fire Energy out of the deck. Actually, looks like just 2.
Only choosing to grab 2, which it's okay to be conservative. I feel like you're in a situation where you really want to maximize your chances of going Rare Candy Pidgeot EX in this, off of this Iono. So there's a bunch of energies being drawn. You definitely would have liked to see a thin of the energies, so that you have a slightly higher chance of finding the right combination of cards, as we see the Rare Candy, but no Pidgeot.
And a couple of energy cards drawn as well.
Indeed.
An attachment to the Delphox happens regardless. And Burning Darkness able to easily KO the 110 HP Cramorant. Joel finally takes his first prize card, but Pramawat quickly promotes the Comfey, and he's ready to get moving this turn. Uses Radiant Greninja, ditches a Psychic Energy, 2 more cards seen, looks like a Mirage Gate and a Forest Sealstone. Still has not used his V-Star power, so that is something that is available to him. Flower selecting, seeing 2 cards off the top. Is there a world where Pramawat can get to 10 cards in the Lost Zone this turn?
Not without a Colress, I don't think, and with 2 of them prized, I think this is the key turn where we're going to see a very underwhelming turn by Michael, just based on the prizes. After that, you know, he had very little chance of drawing a Colress, and that just really complicates things. Now, we do see an escape rope, Joel promoting that Delphox with the energy, which he can retreat, right? But if he had attached that previous energy, his deck would have been a little bit thinner. He would already have the retreat cost ready instead of having to dedicate an attachment. So not attaching that third energy could prove impactful in this turn, and then following up in terms of powering up other things.
The promotion of the Delphox also could have been pretty risky. If Pramawat had a Colress, got a Dragonite up and running, Delphox would have gone down pretty much right away, and that's a 2-prize swing in Pramawat's favor, and he could have won this game theoretically without ever having to KO a Charizard EX. As it stands, though, Pramawat doesn't have the pieces to pull it together, just has to pass back to Joel, who does end up attaching and immediately retreating. You called it out, Pablo, moving that Delphox back to the bench. Looks like not too many other plays available. Does have a boss's orders. Is there anything on Pramawat's bench worth targeting at this point? Maybe something like the Manaphy if you want to go for a Delphox.
Yeah, I was definitely going to mention that. Joel plays Lost City. It's not in play yet, but you could Lost City your opponent's Manaphy, and that definitely opens up the play for Delphox B to snipe any of these low HP Pokemon, along with the active, of course. Now, he is powering up the energy he already attached, indeed.
Yep.
Good thing for Michael to point out. And it's all down to the boss. I feel like, yeah, the boss, it's a cool play. You could knock down the Manaphy. There's no, like, you're not holding Rare Candy Charizard to really follow that up.
Right.
It would be costly to retreat. And that's a great situation to be like, okay, I can play this card, but do I really need to? Yes, no. Yeah, that's the sort of evaluation you want to make.
So Pramawat here really looking for a Colress. 1 Colress and then 1 Flower Selecting equals 10 cards in the Lost Zone, and we could see Sableye come into play. And it looks like wisely here, Pramawat going to thin some energy cards out. Also does shuffle the deck. I'm not sure. Yeah, it looks like there was still a Colress down in the bottom from a couple of Ionos ago. The deck had not been randomized ever since those few turns previous. So this is an opportunity for Michael to actually have a chance to get the Colress and also pulls those energy cards out of the deck so they're not risky hits on a Flower Selecting.
Indeed. A Lost Vacuum sort of combination could also be useful in order to hit those 10 and Palpat for 1 Colress. Yeah, those 2 Colress in the prizes are really dictating how strong this turn can be. Michael does have a very nice setup here with the double Pidgey and Manaphy that totals 120 HP between 50 and 70, so that could be a nice cleanup. You could also go after the Charmander to prevent a second Charizard that you have to deal with. So it'll be interesting to see if he hits, and he does.
Oh, what a hit there from Pramawat. Wisely thinning, wisely randomizing the deck, and then also wisely using the Pal Pad. It does feel unfortunate that you're not going to get full value, only getting back 1 Colress, but it's what you need to do to stay in this game. Now, he did Lost Zone the Dragonite. What do you think of that, Pablo?
That is a very interesting, if not questionable, decision. That I am very surprised because, yes, you have this double KO now. But how do you get your last 2 prizes? You're not running Echoing Horn. Oh, you are. Never mind.
Yeah.
You are running Echoing Horn, so perhaps that's how.
That's probably what he is planning for. Yeah, it does look like Michael Pramawat's list is extremely similar to Jack Carter's list, who got 2nd place in Peoria just last weekend. The one change, not sure what he cut, but he did, of course, add that Spiritomb we see in play on the bench and going to spread this damage out, KOing the Charmander, KOing the Pidgey, and putting 10 on the Manaphy, setting it up so that if another Charmander comes down, that is an easy route to victory. Down to just 2 prizes now at this point. Joel kicks it off with playing an Arven. Arven is an excellent card to play in the early turns of the game to guarantee your setup, but it feels weaker and weaker as the game goes on.
Yeah, because after you use your Force Seal Stone, like, you're really searching for a card, right? The tools are
it
not as
becomes a limited
impactful.
Skyla kind
Exactly.
of.
Yeah. And yeah, I think a big card missing from Joel's list that we would normally see in this sort of versions of Charizard is Penny. There is no Penny here, so there's no way to pick up the Manaphy to prevent that Echoing Horn plus Sableye Snipe on those 50 HP Pidgeys. I cannot emphasize enough how, of course, 50 HP Pidgey is good. It has a very good attack, call for family. However, it's just, it makes the perfect numbers for Sableye.
So are you a fan of playing the 60 HP
Yes, absolutely.
Pidgey?
Yeah, if you're attacking with Pidgey, you're probably in trouble anyways. I would rather have the protection.
Call for family?
It's
that's 2 Pokemon.
I know, but it's just it's rough. Yeah, you have to start it. You have to have the energy. It has to be like, I don't know, for it to be worth it, a lot has to happen. And it's just Lost Box is too popular and too good. That's the thing. Yeah, if Lost Box was less popular, Sableye was less good or less utilized, then sure, go for it. Maybe when we get rotation and Sableye becomes less good.
Ooh, that is a miss there from Joel. Uses Ultra Ball, grabs Luminion, hoping to get a research for the next turn, but Pramawat on top of things, pointing out the fettered misfortune. It turns out Joel's Luminion is the one who finds misfortune in this spot. And what a draw for the turn. There's the Clara. That can get back the Sableye and the Psychic Energy. Escape Rope and Echoing Horn already waiting in the hand. I think this should be the win here for Michael Pramawat. Just needs to play the cards in the right order. Let's see him come down. Sableye, Energy, Echoing Horn, Escape Rope. Pramawat, what are we doing? There we go.
It doesn't even wait to see who Joel promotes.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the judge saying, Joel, you got to promote something, but Pramawat saying, it doesn't matter. I win.
Yeah, the game's over.
Yeah. Promote. Yep, here we go. Oh, we're going through the motions. Seems good. Let's Echoing Horn. Which one do you want to KO, Pramawat? Picking on that 50 HP Pidgey.
Yep, that 50 HP Pidgey. It's good. The attack is fantastic, but the HP really lets it down. If it was 60 HP, it would be a no-brainer. But 50 HP is just, it's too rough. Or if Charmander had 80 HP, then sure, go ahead and play the 50 HP Pidgey. But 70, and we don't have the 70 HP Charmander in this list either.
Right,
so
true.
50 HP, it's just, it leaves, I don't know, it's the attack is better, absolutely, but the math is just too perfect against you for Sableye.
So despite not playing Colress for quite a few turns there in the middle of the game, Pramawat still comes out on top. I think a big story as well from game number 1, Joel whipping any stage 2 Pokemon on the second turn of the game. That's where things feel like they can get out of control in this matchup, and it makes it more difficult for Lost Box. Joel's setup just really was not that strong.
Yeah, this deck is really big on that turn 2 Charizard to start applying pressure. If you don't get that, you're already behind, and any little Pokemon that Lost Box decks can take a KO on before you evolve means they have to deal with less big HP Pokemon towards the end of the game. And then that Manaphy, of course, prevents the Greninja, but ultimately it was Joel's demise at the very end.
And here was the game-winning play. Pramawat at just 2 prize cards remaining. The Echoing Horn was able to pull anything out of the discard pile, and oh my goodness.
Wow.
That looks like a Tetris piece, but it's Joel's prize cards.
Would you say Joel's prizes are on fire?
It is getting hot in here. Not in Joel's deck, though. Battle VIP Pass is the start. Pretty strong once again. And another one. Looks like a pair of rare candy in this hand as well, but I don't think I see an out to a stage 2 Pokemon just yet.
Yeah, now, there are many instances where you might consider fleet-footed from the NTV. Is that the ability? It is, right?
It is fleet-footed, yeah. They are all fleet-footed.
Yeah, all right. Before you battle VIP Pass, if you want to find more basic Pokemon before you thin the deck, but I think in this case, if you're trying to maximize your chances of hitting a stage 2, which I don't think Joel is holding. Oh, he is holding rare candy and Ultra Ball. So thinning and then trying to find a supporter. I like this approach, but I will say, sometimes you want to battle VIP Pass before you fleet foot it. Sometimes you want to fleet foot it before you battle VIP Pass.
Right. It always depends. I always love seeing those discussions and debates on Twitter of like, which one do you do first? And the answer from all the good players is pretty much always, it depends.
Yep. I'm a culprit of that. I did that on purpose the other day with Greninja and Pokestop.
Hisuian Heavy Ball played right away for Pramawat. Always a great card to see in the opening hand for Lost Box. It just saves you so much time, so much brain power. We talked about this earlier when Azul GG was able to quickly play that Hisuian Heavy Ball. Pram is going to take note of the prize card. There are a couple options here. He could take a Comfey or a Raikou V, and it looks like it will be the Comfey as the grab.
Yeah, that Raikou V is tempting because of Forest Hill Stone, but there is a Forest Hill Stone in the prizes as well, along with a copy of Colress, which remains at the top. But at least Pram has an extra out to Colress throughout the whole game this time around.
It does have a Colress in the hand as well as a Battle VIP Pass. Excellent starts for both these players in both games, having their ideal turn 1 card. This will get Pramawat any 2 Pokemon directly to the bench. I think one is pretty obvious in that Radiant Greninja. What do we think the other one could be?
I would imagine Cramorant, right, to apply pressure. But it is, in fact, Spiritomb. That is a very fancy choice. Is he already holding the Cramorant maybe that I missed?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Didn't get a full look of the hand just yet. Why do you think Pramawat would value Spiritomb so highly right now in this spot? All he's shutting down at the moment is fleet-footed.
I mean, Michael has zero information on Joel's hand, right? He doesn't know whether Joel's hand is good or bad. And, I mean, you deny resources. If you already have everything you need, you also saw Joel misplay last time around with the Luminion. Maybe you want to make sure that there's no access to Luminion, no access to follow-up Ionos, Boss. I think a well-timed Iono can be pretty destructive, especially for a Turbo Lost Box, right? Therefore, preventing that for the whole game and making sure that they have to either quick search, set up a stage 2, or just have it at random times and maybe not when they need it, there's merit to that for sure.
It is possible for Pramawat to pull off the miracle 7 cards in the Lost Zone, Dragonite KO the Entei this turn, but one Lost Vacuum already hitting the Lost Zone does make that play a bit more difficult of a reach. Does have the Pokestop in hand he could utilize as well this turn if he wants to. We're going to start with the switch cart, though, moving into this other Comfey, a flower selecting once again. This will put Pramawat up to 4 cards now in the Lost Zone. Does have a debate here. Looks like a tough decision. What is going to go down? It is that one copy of Boss's Orders. You always have to kind of stop and think about it whenever a one-of card is a choice off of flower selecting. It does end up going down, and Nest Ball was the card that was kept. And it is to get the Cramorant, it looks like.
Yeah, I'm a little perplexed as to why the value was put on Spirit. I mean, there's like, I can see some reasons why, but I can't imagine. Like, this would have allowed Pram to keep the boss, right? Which you don't know if it's going to be useful or not towards the end of the game. Spiritomb, as you said, is only shutting down 1 extra card, and maybe he's just trying to minimize the chance of Joel setting up a stage 2, but unfortunately for Michael, Joel already has the rare candy Charizard.
I think I would like the Spiritomb bench more if Joel had an open bench space, right?
Yeah.
Cut off the Luminion. I think that would make more sense. Cut off your opponent's ability to go get something like the Arven. But as it stands, and as we have mentioned, Ultra Ball is able to be played pretty quickly. And this is something I think we have not seen from a Charizard deck, I feel like, on stream at all. Rare Candy into Pidgeot. Pretty much every time we had it on stream in Peoria, they were missing out on that quick search ability, which is so vital, so powerful. And this is a strong follow-up, as well as there is an Iono in the hand to draw Joel 6 more cards before he has to commit this quick search. He's also, of course, got fleet-footed to use. I think we're got to be ready for a big turn here. Of course, fleet-footed unable to be utilized with the Spiritomb. Quite a few cards drawn here. I don't see a rare candy or a Ultra Ball just yet before a Sealstone plus Quick Search can still yield a Charizard.
Yeah, so Joel made essentially a bet. I'm betting on my late game by setting up Pidgeot now instead of setting up the Charizard, guaranteeing an attack with the Entei, getting energies onto my Charizard EX. I'm going for the Pidgeot, and then if I draw any of the pieces for Charizard, I can just search for whatever missing piece, and then I'll be able to start attacking, start applying some pressure, and match not your damage, but start taking KOs, which is, now we're seeing a very different game from game 1.
And by the way, these are the last 3 Fire Energy in Joel's deck that are being pulled out right now. There's 4 in the prize cards and 2 in the hand. So if Joel had drawn just 1 more Fire Energy, it would have led to a not full value Infernal Rain from the Charizard EX. But now we do see both of these Pokemon fully powered up. The active Entei with that Burning Rondo, easily able to deal with the Cramorant, and then Charizard on the bench ready to go. Fire Energy taken off the prizes. Pramawat does send up that Comfey immediately, and Colress's Experiment will be played in flow. Gonna see 5 cards here. Battle VIP Pass, an easy choice to lose, and Manaphy once again has to be valued here when you know your opponent has that Delphox V-Tech.
Indeed, Joel has already discarded that Delphox, but you never know if they can recover it through a Super Rod, Clara, whatever it is. So you do have to value that. Just because it's in the discard pile doesn't mean that it cannot be used against you at any given point.
Pramawat doesn't really have a lot of super powerful cards in his hand. I don't see any Mirage Gate. There's a Nest Ball to maybe go get something like the Dragonite. I don't even see a Super Rod to potentially get back the Cramorant to just hit with that this turn. I think it feels pretty unlikely that you're going to get to 10 in the Lost Zone here. It is definitely possible. 1 Lost Vacuum is down, but Pramawat is playing 3 copies of the card, similar, of course, to Jack Carter, like we mentioned. And that is now the 7th card in the Lost Zone. Mirage Gate is activated.
Yeah, did value that energy once again over the switching card. showing the importance. Like when you're playing 8 basic energy, you really cannot make a mistake with those. You need to make sure that every energy you're playing and every energy you're getting counts. And this is surprising. Are we going to see a Lost Vacuum play to get to 10?
It needs one more flower selecting and then one Lost Vacuum. And the Lost Vacuum does include needing to have a tool card or a stadium in play. So we'll see if Pramawat has all those options available. I might have to dig a little bit for it. I don't know if he has all the pieces in hand just yet, but as it stands, Mirage Gate will get a couple of energy cards out of the deck, not things that he has to worry about hitting off flower selecting anymore, attaching one to this active Comfey so it can retreat into the benched one. There is a switch card already in the hand. I think the last thing we may be missing is a stadium or a tool card. Is that what Pramawat is looking for? And if it was, it's not what he's found here.
No, tough choice once again between, I believe, the Dragonite and a Water Energy. This time valuing the Dragonite. Now there's a lot more Pokemon with a lot of HP in play already. You can snipe those 2 Charmanders, you can snipe that Manaphy, but how are you going to get your other prizes?
I think he can still get to 10 this turn. He does have double switch card in hand, so switch card into this Comfey, flower selecting, and then Lost Vacuum can target the opponent's Forest Seal Stone. This does require you to expend a few more resources and potentially have to make another difficult decision, as it is another escape rope hitting the Lost Zone. Super Rod chosen to be kept here, and now Lost Vacuum ditches VIP Pass. Finally an easy decision for Pramawat. And that Forest Seal Stone on Joel's side also going into the Lost Zone. Switch cart into Sableye, and we are going to see the Lost Mine. Has a couple options here. Could try to work on that Manaphy, could take out the Entei. What do you like?
I think we're going to see a double knockout on these Charmanders. These Charmanders, if they evolve, that means they're much harder to knock out. Knocking them out now really helps your case because this Entei is already there, it's already damaged, and you didn't see Penny the previous game. There might be a Penny coming down the line. Michael Pramawat doesn't know whether it's being played or not, but I feel like there's a much higher chance that you win a game where you don't have to deal with 2 Charizard EXs, and that's exactly what we see here by Michael.
Yeah, potentially trying to spawn trap any future Charmanders coming into play. Super Odd now being immediately played from Joel's end. Does also put back the Delphox. You hinted at that as being a potential play. And Pramawat did have to extend his bench here with that Comfey. It is not protected by something like a Manaphy.
Indeed, there's no space for Manaphy right here, so that Delphox, I mean, it's not possible right now because of so many prized energies, but Michael doesn't know that right now. He knows there's a threat, and so he might be forced into a weird decision where instead of benching Sableye, he needs to protect his bench, set up a different play, but then he wouldn't have an attacker, so it's going to be a rough end to this game for Michael, and Joel is really, really applying a lot of pressure right here.
Quick search from Joel used on this powerful Pidgeot EX. Will now grab any single card from the deck and add it into play. And this is a pretty decent strategy in this matchup, going for the Lost City and trying to get rid of the Sableyes in that way. If you're putting them in the discard pile, your opponent can always grab them back with things like Clara, with things like Super Odd, but if you're putting them in the Lost Zone, especially when your opponent's already at 10, you're not helping them out at all, and you're making things much more difficult for them in the future.
Indeed, that key number is 10, right? There is only one card that works with a Lost Zone off of 12, which I think was Fantina or something like that. And
I think Fantina's 10 as well.
Oh, it's 10 as well. There you go. Never mind. So beyond 10, it's just you're losing resources for no reason, right? So you don't care about sending that Sableye to Lost Zone for the counter, but you do care that it's never able to attack you again.
Debating going for the Vengeful Punch here off of the Arven. That will be the choice. Nestball can bring down potentially the Delphox. Could be another Charmander as well, though. This is a little risky. You're playing into another Sableye.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened this turn. Knock out 2 Charmanders. Both of these Charmanders hit the field immediately, and getting another Sableye to snipe them again doesn't sound far-fetched, and then all of a sudden, all you need to do is KO Entei for the game.
Pramawat rewarded for putting back 2 Colress at the end of his turn last turn, waiting until the Pal Pad was the last action he needed to make, put 2 right back into the deck, and immediately 4 turn draws a Colress. Does have a couple of stadium cards here. You probably want to keep one of those. Lost City's not too annoying when it happens once, but if it sticks around for multiple turns, things can definitely get awkward. We are tied up on the prize cards here. But depending on what Pramawat can do, it feels like he's in a decent spot.
Now, the big thing here, I think, is um, if the second Sableye gets sent to the lost zone, right, during Joel's next turn, then this Entei could be completely safe. But I think we're going to see the Sableye play here, counter the Lost City, and then hope there isn't a second Lost City being played here. Otherwise, you're out of Sableyes as well.
Ooh, and a nice little draw 3 action from the Pokestop. 3 item cards just going straight into the hand. Very nice. What you love to see from Pramawat, channeling his inner Jack Carter. We saw that just consistently from Jack on last weekend's stream. It works out nicely in this spot as now Concealed Cards also finds a couple powerful options in that Mirage Gate and an additional Colress Experiment. Flower Selecting sends yet another escape rope to the Lost Zone. I'm pretty sure there's more than 12 cards in there at this point. And it does look like Sableye is in the hand. Is there a Psychic Energy yet, though?
I don't know that there is. He certainly has Super, right, that he just found off the Pokestop, so he will be able to recover that if he doesn't have access to it. I think you definitely want to recover potentially the Cramorant as well as 2 energies. Maybe it's just 3 energies, but Michael's Pramawat path to victory is very clear. Knock out the 2 Charmanders this turn, and then finish off the Entei. The question is, if that second Sableye gets sent to a Lost Zone once again, how on earth are you chasing that Entei if it gets moved to the bench?
And I think that's where things could be problematic here, actually, for Pramawat, as Boss's Orders was sent to the Lost Zone very early in this game. Normally a way you could try to deal with the Entei, even if it moved to the bench, or even go for a one-hit KO on Pidgeot with your own Raikou V. Yeah. Neither of those plays available now to Pramawat. He's going to have to just cross his fingers his opponent doesn't have Lost City, and of course, Joel's got Quick Search.
And you can see how important every decision is, right? That Spiritomb that we saw fetched instead of the Cramorant made it so that Pram then had to decide between the Boss's Orders and the Nest Ball to utilize Cramorant, which meant that Boss's Orders went to Lost Zone on that second turn. That's a big deal.
Right away, Joel going to use the Pokestop. You don't have to use it. I have to imagine Charizard's a deck that it's kind of difficult. There's not that many hits and definitely a lot of things that you don't want to mill, but as it stands, searching through the deck, I think that last Lost City is in the prize cards here, Pablo.
Indeed, I generally think that double bench of the Charmander could prove to be Joel's demise. So we can see how the one player's actions affect the outcome and the possibilities and the win conditions of the other. And now it's that benching of the Spiritomb that led to the double benching of the Charmander, and then the redouble benching of the Charmander. So all these little actions and the Boss's Orders in the Lost Zone, it's all happening and affecting throughout the whole game. There's just so much going on.
The Iono here is definitely nice for Joel. Pramawat will only get 2 cards off of this, and he's going to need some help. Ooh, one of those cards drawn was the Roxanne, which Joel has just activated by taking this KO. He's definitely sad to see that Lost City taken off the prize cards just now. Would have loved to have seen that on the previous end, getting it into play right then to get rid of Sableye. And all Pramawat can do is plop down this Roxanne, shuffle in, draw 6. Really, I think in a spot like this, you care more about the draw power than you care about the disruption on your opponent's side of the field.
Oh, certainly. And Pram was holding a Force Seal Stone and a Water Energy. Both cards he could have potentially thinned before playing the Roxanne, but I think Pram is going for the win this turn. If he can find the right combination of Super Rod, get back Sableye, power it up, and retreat, then that's going to be it. And we see some of the pieces.
Yeah, I mean, if he's going for Sableye, I guess you're keeping your options open depending on what could happen, because otherwise you would probably just want to put the Forest Seal Stone in play, right? You've only got one open bench spot. You can't utilize a Sableye and a Pokemon V. He's going to start with the Flower Selecting. It's going to be a Mirage Gate. Does find an Escape Rope. One actually might be played this game. Looks like there is a Super Rod and a Mirage Gate. Let's see. Can he hit a Nest Ball here? And he does. I think that is going to be the game.
I think so, yeah. Super Rod back to Sableye the Psychic and another energy. Power that up to the active. Get the Sableye. And that's going to be the game. So, I don't know. That double Charmander getting benched, that's 60. If they were 70 HP Charmanders, we would be talking about a completely different game at this point.
Here it is, the winning combo, the winning play, Mirage Gate, grabbing that extra Psychic Energy from the deck and all 12 counters from Lost Mine, KOing the Entei V, and Michael Pramawat takes a pretty convincing 2-0 victory. Lost zone box over Charizard EX.
Honestly, if you asked me about this matchup before the game, I would say Charizard is favored overall. However, of course, every action matters. The starting hand matters. And I think we definitely just saw Michael take advantage of some of the plays that, like, he never dealt with a Charizard. He never KO'd a single Charizard or a single stage 2 Pokemon. He just KO'd the little dudes.
And that's another thing, too, in this matchup. Joel was going wide open both games, right? Benching everything. You know, you could play this matchup, theoretically, with a pretty low bench. Here we go. Pramawat working through exactly what to do. This is back to game number 1, able to take this KO with the Cramorant, the turn 1 knockout. And Joel really missed out on turn number 2. Didn't get a stage 2 into play, and that's really where things began to falter. Pramawat has the game-winning combo of cards, Echoing Horn to pull out the Pidgey from the discard pile, and of course with Sableye in the active, Lost Mine can spread those 12 damage counters to KO those 2 low HP Pokemon, yielding Pramawat his final 2 prizes.
Indeed, pretty cool tech to see. The Echoing Horn, I feel like, it's not a card that we had commonly seen in Turbo Lost Box, but it's made its way back.
Right, yeah, ever since Jack's second place finish, it feels like that's the list that many people are most valuing going into this tournament. Huge turn there. You mentioned how that was really kind of the, I feel like, nail in the coffin turn almost for Joel by putting down those 2 Charmander, making there be easy choices for Pramawat, and this was the game-winning play, hitting the Nest Ball off the Pokestop, the last piece he needed that he didn't have in hand as a way to get out the Sableye and move into the active to KO Entei V.
Indeed, it's very important to try and prevent your opponent from taking multiple prizes at once, and therefore staggering those Charmanders or any basic. If you're playing a stage 2, staggering your Ralts, staggering your Charmanders, staggering your Pidgeys, your Spirigatitos, whatever you're playing, try to stagger it when there's the threat of Sableye, and try to not give your opponent the possibility to take 2 prizes in 1 turn.
Pramawat locks up a berth into day 2. He didn't play in Pittsburgh, whiffed out on day 2 in Peoria, getting into day 2 here in Sacramento. Definitely got to feel pretty good. Of course, like we mentioned, he's coming off a top 4 finish at the World Championships. Still playing a Lost Zone deck. It's a little bit different, not playing the Giratina anymore, moving over to the Turbo build, and it feels like a lot of people thought that was the move. Going with Turbo Lost Boxes, we have seen, you know, on our MetaShare graph, Lost Box is the most popular deck in the room. Yeah,
Lost Box feels like a deck that can handle everything, right? A big new Pokemon with 330 HP, Charizard EX. There's no good grass type attacker that you can tech into your deck to really deal with it efficiently, and yet maybe you just don't deal with it, as we saw in the games right now.
Well, let's see how Pramawat is feeling after that win, after locking up a berth into day 2. Let's throw it down to the lounge. Wancho, take